Good evening, everybody. Hi, or rather, good afternoon. It's actually good afternoon because I'm in Kenya, Nairobi, and it's 3:48 p.m. So yes, it's just getting to the evening mark. Today, I'm actually doing my weekly analysis early. Okay, guys. First of all, if you're new to my channel, this is your very first time on my YouTube channel. Welcome. What I'll ask you, please kindly like, subscribe, comment, share, click on the notification bell on this channel so that you can, whenever I post any new video, you can get easily updated. But yes, thank you for being here. So this is my weekly Sunday analysis. Today I'm doing it a bit earlier. Usually I do it a bit later in the evening, but this evening I have a class. I have an advanced students class in Forex, and it's gonna be in a couple of hours. And usually that's when I do my weekly analysis. So sorry guys, I'm not able to do this much later. As usual, just in case you are waiting to tune in. So this recording, hopefully it'll still have value. It'll still give you some value and help you to plan your week ahead. So just quick recap in terms of, what's been happening in the market. Basically, we've been seeing a lot of bearish momentum, okay, on most of the pairs. You can see this is Euro USD, which is looking just like gold, which is looking just like many of the USD pairs. This is GBP USD. So last week the market was really bearish. There was also news happening, and so massive. We saw massive movement in the market to the downside. But let's just, now that we are looking at GBP USD, for example, what we are seeing is basically we were in a bit of a distribution phase up here. And then finally we broke this previous support resistance level, and retested it and then dropped down completely and literally just broke structure as we were going down. What I can say is possibly what's been happening is, a lot of liquidity grab at play. And when I look at, this is a 30-minute, if I look at this just from a very simplistic perspective, I would probably say that, GU may want to, retest previous levels of structure, possibly at the 1.36941 or the previous one just above that at 1.37114. So that's a possibility. But what you also need to know is we are actually at a very strong level of support and resistance. We can see price pushed up at some point, and this is on the lower time frame, pushed up at some point at this level here, and then retested this key support level at this point here. This was in 19th April, about 10 days later. It retested that level, and that is where the market closed. So we are possibly retesting this level of structure, okay? As we can see it, this is a level of structure that we are possibly, or maybe I can even just use my horizontal ray lines, but you guys can see. We are possibly retesting these previous levels of structure, okay, which have been retested before here, and we've just broken slightly below that, on GU, okay. So this is interesting because I'm seeing like, okay, fine, we've had a bearish momentum, we've retested, okay, the previous structure up here, but then to continue to push lower. Where I'm looking, I'm possibly thinking that maybe even if we push lower, there's probably the volume in the market may be less than it was last week, but we may see previous tests on these levels, or previous lows here, before we see the push up. But if I just want to confirm the trend on GU generally, just so that we can see what really happened in the market. So GU has been bullish. Okay, this is since, and I guess this is the same across the board for most USD pairs, including gold. And so I guess this was just, kind of trying to, this push down here, this drop here, as you can see, consecutive candles to the downside. This was probably just kind of, trying to rebalance the market, because it's been really pushing up, for a very long time. I mean, for a couple of months now, since March 20th, actually since last year, yeah, March 18th, 2020. So for the last 1 year, we've been bullish. And what happened is, as you can see here, if I even go to the weekly structure on GU, we can see that we actually retested previous levels of structure. We attempted to, retest the weekly. We actually got to the weekly structure, almost got to the weekly structure technically. We failed to break the weekly structure. Okay, so that's understandable, because the last time we broke this high on GU was in 2018. So this just tells us that this is a very strong key level to note. Now we are seeing a very strong bearish candle, okay, on the weekly, and we have retested a key zone here. So for me to consider, let's say, further break to the downside, I would want to see possibly break and retest of this zone here, and then for there to be a very strong push to the downside. So this is just technically looking at possibilities of what would happen to price, right? Yeah, so we can see interesting levels. Okay, but this is the previous level here. So if at all anything happens on the weekly, we'll probably try and retest this low here. But this is a very bearish candle. You can see it. There is a possibility on this weekly time frame we may see a rejection to the upside. Okay, because we're still bullish. We're generally still bullish. As much as there was a bit of a correction here, we are still relatively bullish. This could just be a liquidity grab down here, or a retest of previous lows. If I go to the daily, though, I'm sure it tells me a bit of a much more clearer story. And we can see we're trying to break to the downside. Like I said, for me, key levels that I'd be interested in is just basic. In fact, maybe, these levels down here, or, just come, try and break through and then continue consolidating, because on the daily we are kind of consolidating. Okay, since Feb we've been in a sideways move, so I don't know if we are going to actually be able to break that structure just yet. But this level 1.36691 is a very key level. We may try to test it. Okay, that's about how many pips away? 133 pips away from where price closed, right? So still looking bearish, okay? But remember, we're in a sideways trend, and this could just be a correction or an accumulation phase as we continue to the upside. So I'll wait and see what happens, okay? Yeah, I'll wait and see. If it breaks these levels below here, I would wait to see a retest into this zone and then a drop. But then it could just literally just take us out and then continue consolidating and push back to previous structure. So on the lower time frame, same drill. Yes, we are pushing down, but we are in a kind of a range now. We're on a very strong support. So remember that, guys, we're in a very strong support right now. So even if we break down, it could just be a fake out. So it's good to just wait and see what happens. But technically, we've been in a sideways move, okay, for a couple of weeks, and if not months. So that's for GU, still ranging. Euro USD, like I said, looking very much like what gold was looking like. Euro USD broke structure at this level. It again broke structure at this level, and it just continued dropping. As you can see, this previous level was retested. So we are still looking bearish. We are still looking bearish because we haven't even yet retested this level. We attempted to get back here but failed, and the momentum just looks like it keeps on scaling, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. When I look left, yes, we are just, at this important support and resistance level. So this could be it, or we could just break it and continue all the way to the downside, and just grab some liquidity on this lower end. But we're still looking bearish. I would like to see how the market opens. Yeah. Although there's a bit of, in as much as we are seeing, when what I'm seeing here, we might see some ranging to the side, before anything significant happens. I feel like the momentum, in as much as we may push downwards, I feel like the momentum down there's probably not much volume. Okay, then when you see candlesticks like this, they're a bit messy. I don't, a bit of indecision, wicks and all. So this could actually be the end of the downtrend. I mean, when I look at it again on a closer look. But remember, on the longer time frame, there's still possibility to drop lower. Okay. But I'd like to see how this opens up. Eventually, if we look at it from this perspective, we pushed up, and then, this could be, our low here is still higher than the previous low, okay, and still higher than this previous low. So technically, we are still pushing to the upside, technically, on the longer time frame. But you may see short-term attempts to grab liquidity at the bottom and then continue to the upside. So that's Euro USD. Let's go back to gold. So gold is in a ranging sideways thing going on. So we may continue to push down and retest previous levels of structure. Okay, and if we do push to this level, I see us pushing down to the, let's see, I see us pushing down to this level before we push up. So this is what we may see. And there may be a break of structure here and then a continuation to the upside. So these candles are pretty bearish. We are on a key level of structure here. I feel like we may, at least if not to this level down here, we may at least break to this level up down here before we continue to the upside, and just try and retest these levels. We may break structure to the upside or just continue ranging. As you can see, since the beginning of March, gold has kind of been in a sideways. I mean, not even beginning of March. Let's look left. Since September 20th, 2020, gold has been in a bit of a sideways range. It has attempted to break down. So this could all just be a lot of noise to confuse us as it goes up. So it may push lower and then push up, or even push a bit lower, retesting previous levels of structure at 1672, and then push up. We may see a retest here because there's a key level here, okay? So you may see it bounce off this key level. If it breaks this structure, then we can attempt to say that it's actually going to go all the way to 2075. But this correction here is pretty significant. So let's wait and see how the market opens. But right now, still ranging sideways, just like GUs, just like EU. But we might find some quick drops or liquidity grabs here before we push to the upside. Okay, but as always, this is not a final sentiment. We will wait for market open. So let me look at USD JPY. USD JPY has also been bullish, okay, on the longer time frame. And also last week was pretty much, you can see here, kind of forming like a flag of sorts, the trend was up here, it's very clear. We retested a previous level of structure up here. So failed to break that previous high, and are inside this zone. Let me just see. Yeah, we are inside this zone. We may push lower, but we are still looking bullish on USD JPY. Generally, we're looking more bullish on UJ than we are looking bullish on the other USD pairs like EU, gold, and so on and so forth. So the yen, USD against the yen looking bullish. Okay, I mean, we're seeing rejection at this level here, but because of this, the way it's been moving up, it's been having a very strong momentum up, if I can even say that. But we closed with a bit of indecision because we attempted to break but failed, and then attempted to break down but failed. So but I'm still bullish. I just feel like these are retests of previous levels of structure. So what we should be expecting is just continuation to the upside. Like whatever happens, that's what we're looking at. So, but obviously, by the time the market opens, I'll be dead asleep. So I won't even be in the market. I probably will just want to see how things are looking in the London session. If I look at one thing I didn't do was I didn't look at the 4-hour structure of gold. But anyway, so yeah, we can see the rejection here. So rejection, volume is reducing and everything. We may push lower, and then this could actually be a fake out. We're probably not ready to buy as such, so you may see some push down, but still generally trend is still pushing up. But remember, we are on this key level of structure, so we may see some consistent or follow up in terms of rejection to the upside. This candle here previously on the 4-hour is looking bearish. So, but we'll see what happens there. But I'm generally bullish on USD JPY. Okay, I'm still bullish on USD JPY. And as you can see, even on the lower time frame here, yeah, the way we closed, we are in a key zone. We have retested previous levels, so we've cleared this imbalance in the market that was formed by this push to the upside. And yes, the trend is still, I mean, we are still trending lower in terms of the lower time frame, because we're scaling lower highs. If we fail to break this high, then we'll probably just drop and retest this previous trend line here before we continue to the upside. But just remember, guys, that long term we are bullish. Short term we may push lower, because just based on the structure that I can see here. But like I said, we wait and see how the market opens. So that's UJ. Another pair I like to look at is obviously AUD USD, which is similarly looking like all other USD pairs. The same thing happened. There was a lot of distribution up here, a bit of accumulation within the distribution, but it just broke structure and dropped. So yeah, looking similar. And this, the way this candle closed on the daily is just looking very, very, we may even see a drop all the way to 0.707, which is quite something. If we do break that structure, we may see a retest of this level, 399 pips. We have key levels that are possibly retest levels. We have key levels that are possibly retest levels, and I'd just like to see how that plays out. We may get to this level, bounce, and just continue to the upside, or we may just drop all the way to the previous low at 0.70771. But remember, guys, long term, the trend is still up. For me to actually consider a downtrend beginning is if we break this level of structure here, because this is a previous support and resistance. So that's just my take at the moment. So yeah, still bullish, but with retest potential. Then we have Euro JPY. Let me just look at EJ. EJ is really tends to correlate, I find, with gold more than even the other EU pairs. And you can see the correction. So yes, pushing up, but you know, this correction was bound to happen. And I guess what could have informed us on the daily is when we saw this bearish candle that closed and just over, you know, just basically, let me kind of basically engulfs the previous daily. So what I know is this level ideally looks like it could be retested at some point in the future. I mean, this whole area here, you know, there's a possibility of a retest. Now Euro JPY dropped, broke structure at this level, broke structure at this level, and is just now sitting at a very key level. Okay, if we look left, um, you know, you can see this whole section here. This is a key area of structure. Whether we break through, that's the thing. But we could definitely just bounce off and continue up, possibly bounce off and retest. So maybe what we could see is possibly bounce off there, and then, you know, maybe, you know, then break to the downside. Okay. So that's possibly what would happen. What I'm seeing might happen on Euro JPY. This could even go lower and retest this previous levels within this zone, and maybe even push to this other level. But I'm more keen on here, bounce off it, retest this level of institutional traders, and then drop to the bottom. Yeah, and possibly just continue dropping just to clear some liquidity imbalances in the market. But right now, still bullish until it breaks this level of structure is when now I'll be thinking, okay, now we are bearish. Let me look at Euro GBP, which I don't really trade anymore. I find Euro GBP is just not my thing. I definitely have attempted a couple of times. I just find it sometimes very unpredictable. We have been in a very strong distribution phase as well on Euro GBP, and we look like we may want to just drop lower. Let me look. Yeah, I mean, there's Euro GBP failed to break this. And if you look, I gave a trade last week. Let me just also be a bit transparent. I gave a trade last week on the 17th. That was on Thursday. Was it on Thursday? On the 16th, on Wednesday, Euro GBP. And I actually thought it would push up, but it hasn't. Now, this candle here is an interesting candle, and I think that this might just be a sign that we are still headed down. This is a sign that we are probably still headed to this level of structure. Okay. Once it gets there, then I'd probably have a clearer, about 100 pips. So we may see a continuation to the downside. But then again, we have a bit of, you know, an interesting setup here. This could also be a rejection to the upside, because when it broke these previous lows, okay, it may push up. But we are scaling lower highs, as you can see with the trend here. The trend is down. So unless it breaks structure up here, I wouldn't even consider getting into a buy. Okay, this rejection here for me is pretty much telling me that, you know, we are still headed lower. So that's what I'll be looking at for Euro GBP. Let's look at, let's say, an NZD pair, NZD JPY. Similarly, you know, at a level of key level of structure, previous level of structure, right about there. Okay, so what I'm seeing right now is there could be a rejection here. You might see a rejection here. Don't mind my circles, which are just not proper. But we might see a rejection here and a continuation to the upside. If we break structure below here, below this previous low here, what I'd want to see is possibly, let's say we break below, I'd probably want to see a retest back before we now decide, okay, now we are headed down. So that's just my take, okay, on NZDJPY. Alternatively, we could just completely reject this level and push up. Just push up and try and retest a previous level of structure up here. Okay, so we could just bounce off this and push up because this momentum down is pretty strong. Okay, but then we are approaching a very strong level of structure, so we know that there are buyers here. We know that there are buyers here waiting to buy. Okay, but what might happen is we may just go a bit lower and then now push up. But if we fail to break, let's say, this level of structure to the upside, for example, we may just, even if we push up, we just continue to the downside. So right now it's I am more biased on a buy on NZDJPY, but those are the scenarios that you may see in terms of movement or in terms of the price action. Then we have, let me look at a card pair, NZD CAD maybe, or CAD, let's even look at CAD JPY, probably looking at like NZDJPY, and they're all looking the same. May push lower, but we've been bullish. So right now, personally, guys, I'm just bullish on most of these pairs. What we've been seeing last week was just a correction, okay? Just a correction in the market. And yes, there were major corrections, okay? And I keep on saying sometimes when there are news items, that's when you see the major corrections in the markets happening, because news, most people tend to think a certain way, that something big or major is going to happen in the market. And so most people, kind of retail traders, place the similar kinds of trades, and then which move the market, you know, and or cause institutional players to come in with a lot of energy. But we are bullish. Okay, again, I'm just gonna wait for the market to open, you know, and see what happens. I'll definitely not be in the London session. I'll just be observing what's happening. I'll likely be in the New York session Monday. That's when I'll probably jump into a trade, as I'm also sharing ideas with the family. What else? Which other pair can we look at? Indices. So I look at US 30, see what happened last week. So like, you know, like I said, guys, all these things are just looking the same across the board. This is looking heavily, you know, bullish. Sorry, bearish. So we are still looking like we really would like to retest this level. So there's a possibility US 30 may drop all the way to 31,452. Look out for that. And once it does, then we could continue to see the continuation to the upside. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, you know, that's how things are looking. So, you know, we are still looking very bullish, but I feel like this is a key level of structure that needs to be retested, and maybe even lower, you know. So yeah, but we may open on the negative, on the not really negative, still pushing down. If I look at a lower time frame, yeah, I mean, that's how it's looking. It's trying to break structure, actually broke structure, and so on and so forth. Let me just look at gold again. I wanted to look at gold on the 4-hour just to confirm something. Okay, so gold on the 4 is actually, let's look at this. Um, so if gold breaks structure, we're definitely headed down. And when I say structure, I mean if it breaks this zone, if it drops below this zone here, we're definitely bearish. If it doesn't and rejects, then we might see some correction and just filling up of the imbalance caused by this massive drop here, because gold dropped like almost 500 pips, if I'm not wrong, on the 14th, and it didn't stop dropping. Let's even say from the 16th when the market opened, it dropped 994 pips. That is significant, guys. Okay. So this move down, we likely see a correction. So what I'm looking at right now is that this 1748 area and this zone here that is just sitting on the 1748 area is pretty strong. Okay. So if we do break it, then we'll just boom drop all the way to previous level of structure at 1689. If not, we will just bounce off and continue nicely all the way back to the top. Just continue with a sideways momentum as gold continues to figure out, okay, are we ready to break up to the upside, or are we just going to keep on, just ranging to the side? So that's my take this week, guys. I hope it's made some sense. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to just write a comment. I always respond to every comment on my channel. If you'd like to join my Telegram community, Fierce Interaction community, please feel free to jump in if you want to be a part of our signals group as well, our paid group, or you can always, I'll drop a link in the bio, in the description box rather, and you can just jump in. So that being said, guys, do have a lovely Sunday evening. I hope this has helped you, to just do your own analysis. And yeah, let's catch up in the New York session tomorrow. Bye.